Alright, time for our main segment.
Oh, okay.
Time for our feature presentation. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? A movie that probably everybody has seen, but like I saw it for the first time 2 years ago, or maybe 3.
I don't know. I don't know how young our viewer base is. Maybe some people missed it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't see it as a kid, but I saw it as maybe like middle school, I want to say.
But so let's give them the old rundown.
All right.
Okay.
It is what it actually really is, and I didn't catch this until this time. It's an LA Noire style mystery.
Yeah.
But half the characters are animations.
Some hard boiledness.
Yeah, it's straight up paced like a crime procedural set in late 1940s LA. But the hook is that in this world, cartoons are real. There are humans and people, and then there's like all the cartoons are like actual guys that just walk around and they look like that. And they are the cartoon physics apply to them all the time. Like they can't be killed. They just get smashed around a bunch and they're fine. And they have their own, I guess, neighborhood of LA called Toontown, which maybe they found. Like, fucking...
Yeah, let's get into this. I don't want this, but if it existed, that would be interesting. If, like, let's get some background lore. Like, who...
Yeah, that's
let's get some facetious background lore.
Who settled Toontown? Was it that one clown that popped out of the inkwell? That
Coco?
guy? Was it that
Coco?
dinosaur? Did the dinosaur found Toontown?
Gertie?
Yeah, that motherfucker.
Gertie the dinosaur?
Yeah.
Coco the clown?
Did Lewis and Clark discover Toontown?
What if no... Oh, okay, see, that's the other thing. Like, no one drew them. They're just there. So it's like they're just their own fucking species. This is like deep. This goes deeper than Pokemon when you think about it too hard.
Yeah, but where do they come from? Because Betty Boop was ever since cartoons started coming in color, and it was like...
They evolved. Evolution.
Who did that?
Maybe cartoons just evolve way faster.
Yeah, but like Betty didn't, because like Mickey and Bugs were there, and they were fine.
Maybe...
So once they're born, they never die? They're alive forever?
Yeah.
I guess like a real cartoon.
Or what if it's like Tulpa rules, where as long as people care about the cartoons, they're alive.
That links up with Tiny Toons lore. That's established in Tiny Toons, that as long as people laugh at your cartoons, you won't age or die.
I can't remember if I remembered that or not, but yeah, the Tiny Toons are a bunch of Tulpas.
Oh, this goes so deep. We're in so deep already right off the jump, and we haven't even said, like, this film was made in whatever year by who the fuck ever.
I mean, I said it'd say 1998, 88.
Anyway, they just exist. They are a part of the world. They were created.
And like, they filmed the cartoons with film and shit in shitty Burbank studios.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the film, again, 1988, which, if you recall, was before digital compositing, green screens, even blue screens.
I think there must have been at least blue screens, because like Monty Python had blue screens.
I'll look that up.
Okay, we'll look it up. But it's directed by Robert Zemeckis, and
Robert Zemeckis did the overall film, but the animation director for the specific cartoon stuff, which is the meat and potatoes of what we're talking about, is Richard Williams.
Yes. Very much, yes. And the film has had a lot of hands working on it. There's a lot of names here. Both of, like, writers, producers... Spielberg had his fingers in there.
I'm amazed this film got made because at the time where technology was, you think whoever pitched this, everyone else was like, I don't want to do that. That's a lot of stuff we gotta figure out how to do.
Well, like, I mean, there is a precedent. It's not like actors haven't acted against cartoons before.
Oh yeah, no, totally. I guess they were the first to really do that, because nowadays in Hollywood, actors are talking to tennis balls all over the damn place. Now it's just common.
Yeah.
Like, we mentioned Mary Poppins, but there's also, like, Song of the South and a bunch of others that...
Song of the South was old as hell.
Yeah, that very much predate this film, so...
Yeah.
Like, back when Disney was still
there something
alive.
called The Poseidon Adventure? Or is that something different?
That is a disaster film about a boat tipping upside down, I think.
And a lot of special effects were done with traditional animation back in the day as well. That was composited on top of the film directly. So it's not completely unheard of territory even for the time, but like to this degree, there's nothing like it, really.
It's
blue screen technology was developed in the 1930s and was first used. I'm looking at this in 1958 for adaptation of The Old Man and the Sea.
Oh wow!
So blue screens have been around forever.
Okay.
But which I think just has to do with before everything was digital. It was an easy color to like edit out and put
yeah.
Probably like similar to cell animations. You're just like slapping you're gluing two pieces of film together to make one frame. It's probably how they did it.
Something.
I don't know
that.
anything about film.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, where do we go? I guess the plot. I guess we can do the plot about the plot
real quickly. It stars Bob Hoskins in one of his most famous roles as Detective Eddie Valiant, who's investigating first a adultery case among Toons and then a murder case in which Roger Rabbit is framed for killing the Acme Animation president. And the whole thing, it's like all this like, studio politics and all this like legitimate like LA detective pulp stuff.
Yeah. He wasn't Acme Animation. Acme in this world is a manufacturer and just a land owner business guy. Maroon was the animation studio guy.
Yeah. I guess they needed a surrogate. This film also, because it uses so many real cartoons from multiple studios and people, there's a lot of weird workaround on copyrights and real licenses and names and contractual who gets what screen time bullshit. So some stuff is made up. As a kid, since 90% of the film's cartoons were real cartoons, as a kid I always assumed Roger Rabbit was a cartoon too and not facsimilated for the film. So that was confusing.
Me too. Yeah, apparently it was Spielberg himself that was able to convince everybody.
Of course.
Warner Brothers, Fleischer,
Man's
King,
a fucking miracle worker.
Felix. Yeah, everybody's like, yes, Steven Spielberg, yes!
Stevie Spiel!
I mean, there were still a lot of characters they couldn't get rights for, like Popeye and Tom and Jerry, Casper, or any of the Terrytoons.
I'm sure all they cared about, in terms of priority, was frickin' Warner Brothers and Disney. We got that, we got a movie.
Well, it was a Disney movie.
They also wanted Turner and Felix the Cat and Walter Lantz stuff, and I mean, there was a lot in there.
Oh, Felix would have been dope. He could have pulled something out of his bag. That was a good bit in good
Was he in there very briefly?
He was in there. I remember at least the icon above the tunnel into Toontown had Felix's face on it.
Felix Wright.
Felix, Arizona.
Yeah, weird that there wasn't that much of him, though, because they could have done, something with him.
I mean, again, he does... Well, I guess he kind of did have a personality. He did that walk. He had that thinking walk.
The funniest thing to me, which for some reason I never even noticed until I read the trivia fact and looked back on it, was that, I don't know if it was... I think now that I'm watching it again, it might have been, every... Disney and Warner Brothers character, but I know for a fact, whenever Bugs Bunny was on screen, Mickey Mouse had to be on screen and vice versa. That was the contractual obligation.
Part of the legal limbo they had to do is that they had to have exactly the same screen time, which I feel like Mickey was on there a little more.
Yeah, at least in that one scene.
In the parachute scene.
Though I do recall seeing Bugs Bunny in background scenes.
Yeah, that was probably something. And then, but also, I was starting to wonder if it was just any Warner Brothers or Disney property, because Donald and Daffy had a scene together, and then at the end, Porky Pig and Tinkerbell had the ending together.
Yeah, it might have been.
At the very least, nobody was allowed to have the limelight over anybody else.
Well, no. That's not true. Goofy did. They showed a bit of a Goofy short.
Oh, right.
I wonder if that's different, if that was some legal loophole. But keep in mind, this is also a movie produced or distributed or whatever by Disney.
Yeah, so I'm sure. I mean, at the end of the day, they probably could have done whatever they wanted with their stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just for what I think it was the contract with Warner Brothers, like, if you're going to use our stuff, don't have them overshadowed by by the counterpart. And there's really no counterpart to Goofy in the Warner Brothers Looney Tunes.
Goofy's an original.
Yeah.
Because we live in a post-Goof world.
Remember that?
Remember that classic Toon Goons bit?
What if there's a Kingdom Hearts level based on this movie?
That'd be insane.
Isn't that kind of what Kingdom Hearts is?
That
Only
kind of
instead of
is
hard-boiled detective, it's anime fantasy land?
No, I'm saying, like, there's
Kingdom
one
Hearts
level
is the
where
Who Framed Roger Rabbit of today's generation.
Well, see, the difference is Who Framed Roger... I'm saying, like, there's one level in Kingdom Hearts where it's all the Disney jerks and all the Warner Brothers jerks and the Flesher jerks, and all the jerks are there, and, like, Sora gets hit with a big mallet, but he's fine, and a bunch of times, because who cares? And it would be a legal nightmare, but, like, somebody at Disney Interactive was like, you gotta do it, I don't care, just figure it out. So then the game costs, like, $120 because, to cover the legal fees. I'm not gonna play it anyway. It's a bad game.
And a neat thing about the characters, or the licensed characters, is they're all the versions of them that existed at the time period in which the film takes place. They're not the more modernized versions that we're a little more familiar with. Like, it's classic Daffy Duck, where he's Daffy Duck. Like, he's got the crazy laugh, and he's totally different than, like, later era Daffy Duck.
Yeah,
and it's like...
kids, Daffy was a word that meant something, and the cartoon character used to embody it.
Like, you know, Bug's face was a little more of an oval than an, you know...
Yeah.
More Roger Rabbit shaped, basically, is
Yeah.
what it came to be shaped. But I just thought that was really nice. Even Yosemite Sam, everybody looked how they looked approximately in that time period. And, you know, you do a freeze frame of, like, any scene where there's a lot of characters, it's just you know, you're just gonna have a grand old time.
Also in that time period, Goofy was exclusively like the narrated shorts and shit. Yeah. I think at that point in time. So that's
how to X.
Yeah,
how to ski and everything. I think that was How to Be Fit or How to Get Fit was what that one was called.
That how, like, can Disney just buy that how to wiki and replace those shitty drawings with Goofy?
WikiHow, yeah.
Yeah.
So how did this movie get made?
I don't fucking know, dude.
Okay, well...
Tell me.
I know some things, but I don't know everything.
I think there was a robot involved at some point with the plate
There
scene.
are robots. There are robots involved.
Now I'm invested. Now you got me.
Okay.
Right.
So, way back when, 1981... Gary K. Wolfe
way back in the 1980s.
Gary K. Wolfe published a novel called Who Censored Roger Rabbit? And Walt Disney Productions purchased the film rights in, like, the same year. And then president was like, of Disney, was like, we need to make this into a movie. It'll be a great blockbuster. It's going to be the best. And interestingly enough, Robert Zemeckis was going to be... he offered his services as a director, like, within, like, pre-production. But Disney turned him down because his previous two films were garbage, apparently, at least box office-wise. And then later...
Because this would have been before Back to the Future.
Yeah, this was I Want to Hold Your Hand and Used Cars.
Never heard of those.
And then he did Romancing the Stone and Back to the Future, and Disney's like, okay.
No, I'm sorry.
It's just a joke. It's a funny goof. For Disney, we make goofs.
For a long time, Disney wanted their own dude, Daryl Van Sitters, to be animation director. And, you know, things were changing hand here and there. The project was revamped in 85 with Michael Eisner, who became the new CEO, kind of was like, no, we should totally do this. Let's reinvest. That's when Amblin Entertainment came on, which, you know, is Steven Spielberg, Frank Marshall, Kathleen Kennedy, and, you know, came together with Disney to be like, let's do the thing. Originally, the budget was like $50 million, which Disney was like, that's way too many dollars! Which turned out it was going to be more than that anyway.
Of course.
But at the time, it was the most expensive animated film ever greenlit. You know, Jeffrey Katzenberg was really proponent for this film. He, believed it would save Disney's animation department. It would challenge their animators and, get them out of their comfort zone.
I want to really fuck up these guys' day.
As we mentioned before, Spielberg, got all the other studio licenses on board, though Disney kept all merchandising rights, because of course they did. And it was sort of put together, and they wanted to kind of do what Zemeckis said, have the film imbue Disney's high quality of animation, Warner Brothers characterization, and Tex Avery's humor into one film, which was, quite a task. Obviously they were inspired mostly by the Golden Age era of cartoons, which is, I want to say, pre-war cartoons.
Yeah.
Cartoon historians will still talk about pre-war cartoons like they're the end-all be-all, and animation hasn't reached that point since. So it's kind of weird for me.
Yeah, that was the thing watching this film again. I was watching and going like, oh, this is what, old people think cartoons can only ever be.
Yeah.
It almost, I'm not gonna say it made me like the film less, but it made me think about that, and it's just kind of like, man, cartoons are still good, they're just super fucking different, and it made me mad at boomers, which I always
it was
am.
a celebration of the Golden Age.
Yeah, which is worth celebrating, obviously.
Yeah.
And what Disney wanted to keep their dude, Sickis, or Sitters, but eventually went over to, Richard Williamson, to become the animation director. And he, isn't fond of the Hollywood animation system, so they actually, and he didn't want to work in Los Angeles, so they actually accommodated him by moving the entire team to Hertfordshire, England. So all the animation was done out of the country.
I'm not sure. I think it's Hertfordshire, but they don't know how to speak their own fucking made-up language.
Look, I'm not professing to know.
Also, apparently Terry Gilliam, speaking of England, Terry Gilliam was offered the chance to direct, but he found the project too technically challenging. To which he said, pure laziness on my part, I completely regret that decision.
Yeah, man.
Poor Terry Gilliam. Will he ever catch a break? He won't.
No, but yeah.
He's kind of an embodiment of the English spirit.
Okay, so Williams was on board. He was over in England. And in return, both Spielberg and Katzenberg... No, it was Spielberg and Zemeckis who really wanted Williams on the project. It was Disney that wanted their own people, but they were like, no, he's obviously the best. You're dumb.
I'm Steven Spielberg. You literally have to do everything I say. Oh, dang it. He's got us there.
So in return, they agreed that they would help distribute his then uncompleted film and forever uncompleted film, The Thief and the Cobbler. Which we'll get into how that went in another episode of the Toon Goons. But
God,
yeah,
will we?
I mean, sure.
A recobbled edition.
Oh man, that's gonna be a long one.
Alright, so they started animating. They had animators like Dale Baer, James Baxter, David Bowers, Andreas Deha, Chris Jenkins, Phil Nibelink, Nick Ranieri, and Simon Wells, just to name a few. So how did they do it, though? How did they actually do it?
Tell me, Master Magician.
Do it. So they used VistaVision cameras installed with motion control technology for the photography... Wiimotes, essentially.
Kinects. Wiimotes and Kinects.
For the photography of the live action scenes, which would then be composited with animation. So in the live action, how they filmed it is they used a lot of rubber mannequins, puppets, mime artists, and robotic arms. For example, Roger Rabbit, Baby Herman, and all the Weasels had rubber mannequins for the rehearsals, so the actors got used to acting off of something that wasn't alive. And it used it for what they called open air and imaginative cartoon characters, because again, the actors had, where are you gonna look, right? So many of the live action props that were held by cartoon characters, because that was the thing this film did, human characters held cartoon props, and cartoon characters held live-action props. Like, there was a scene in the beginning that Nikki was like, what? Where it was like what was it, like the stork riding an actual bicycle?
Yeah. It's like, what the fuck? And then after it was like, okay, everybody's holding like guns and shit, so like I can't go what every time, but like I still don't know how they did it.
So, how they did that is when a cartoon character was holding a physical, like, real prop that wasn't drawn, they were shot on set with either robotic arms holding the props, or they were manipulated with strings, like, traditional practical effects.
Yeah, wires.
Yeah. Though Charles Flesher, the voice of Roger Rabbit, insisted on wearing a costume on set and being present in every scene.
Wow!
These method jerk-offs.
At least every scene where his character was supposed to be in it.
He also just showed up on set some days in it.
Yeah.
I want to watch Bob Hoskins be horny at something that's not there. It's in my contract. It's in my rider.
The filming was 7 months long. Industrial Light and Magic worked on blue screen for the Toontown scenes, just so, you can have Bob Hoskins, like, running around, falling.
Oh, no. Apparently...
He must have felt so silly, because, like, that wasn't that common of a thing back then.
And they were throwing him around constantly.
Yes,
poor man.
Like, there's that kind of notorious quote from Ian McKellen about when he was filming The Hobbit. Is like, I'm just acting in a green room against a bunch of tennis ball men, and I didn't become an actor to do this. This blows. I hate movies now.
Bob Hoskins must have been like, well, if this fails, this is the craziest thing I've ever fucking been in. Nothing is gonna top this. I'm sorry, what video game movie do you want me to be in?
Apparently other actors considered for the part were Harrison Ford, who they couldn't afford.
That would have been insane!
That would have been so weird.
It would have been too hard-boiled, I think.
And then Bill Murray, where he wouldn't have been hard-boiled enough, he'd just be like, I hate cartoons.
I need those other two versions of this film to exist. These are three completely different films.
There's another one, Eddie Murphy.
Because
that's just Beverly Hills Cop with cartoons.
Oh, man. So, the post-production, which was really where a lot of the really hard... I mean, it was all hard because you had to frame it so it was possible, right? And they did a lot of crazy stuff. Like, a fan of ours sent a little post about one particular scene of the film where Eddie is trying to saw the handcuffs off of him, and he's on this, like, box, and then Roger gets out of his end of the handcuff and holds it, and then, hilarity ensues. And you have to think about, like, how they had to do that where, he's flailing around with this handcuff, and they had to have a weight attached to the end of it so they could animate a character in there. And then also, meanwhile, in that entire scene, the lamp is moving back and forth, like in that one scene of Akira, where it's just gratuitous, and it's just like, you're just making life harder. You just want life to be harder for yourself.
The person who sent that to us was friend of the show, Jake.
Yay, Jake.
Woo!
So, the post-production was like 14 months. Which is a long time. It was before computer animation and digital compositing. So everything was optical compositing. So using cells and film and prints and developing in labs and shit that a lot of people don't know how to do anymore. So the first step was that the animators and layout artists were given black and white printouts of the live-action scenes. So, again, I guess frame by frame, I'm assuming. And then they placed their animation paper on top of them. And then animated directly like that.
Damn.
And then, that way they could, do it in relationship to the footage. And it was kind of hard because the film has very dynamic camera angles and lighting and stuff. Like, one of the things that stood out to me immediately was, like, in the opening scene, which is a cartoon. It's fully cartoon. there's a lot of really crazy perspective and angles going on that wouldn't have existed in that era's cartooning, like, at all. So it kind of looks kind of strange to see cartoon characters emulating the style, like, going crazy.
Yeah, it's like, it's live action. I mean, there's live action settings and characters, and the live action cinematography and camera placement and stuff, but then non-realistic cartoon characters have to interact in that realistic space in a realistic movie framing. And it is like, there are a little bit of like, whoa moments where I don't know enough about just objective film, like cinematography to like know stuff, but I've seen enough of both kinds of movies where I'm just like, this is blending in a far out way, man.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons why they made Roger so clumsy, not just because it's very in character with him, but it gave him weight.
Yeah.
Because he's always knocking shit over.
He's a floppy boy.
It really does feel like he's in the scene.
Yeah. And the lighting helped with that, too. To make it feel like they're in the scene.
Lighting is really what makes or breaks post-production effects.
Yeah.
That's why so often models will just look better than CGI, because light falls on them the same way that it falls on like a real goddamn thing. Or CGI, you gotta fake the lighting. You have to create your own lighting.
Yeah.
So after the rough animation was done, it would go through the normal process that you do with the cells, and then the cells were shot on a rostrum camera with no background. And then that footage was sent to ILM for compositing, where technicians would animate 3 lighting layers, so shadows, highlights, and tone matches separately, in order to make the cartoon characters, look three-dimensional and give that illusion that they're actually there.
Which is a difference. Like, you notice in the shorts, both the short at the beginning of the movie and then the 3 shorts they later made, that, like, very nuanced lighting isn't in them. They only do that when Roger's in the real world, when it's necessary.
Yeah.
Because if he was shaded like that in the cartoons, it would look weird.
Well, it's because he's on set, and they have set lighting.
Yeah, set lighting and everything. Yeah, and it just also wouldn't look like the cartoons that they're supposed to be imitating.
And then finally, the lighting effects were optically composited on the cartoon characters, who were in turn composited into the live-action footage. So, my understanding of optic compositing is...
Oh, I thought you were just going to stop there and be like, that's my understanding of optical compositing. Thank you.
It's very limited. But I do know about, like in photography, like, you have, like, double impression sometimes on a film. It's real. So I'm assuming it's something more sophisticated than that, but it's that same kind of basic principle. Because it's all light, right? That's how a film strip works.
Industrial light. And also magic.
That's why it's called that.
So it's like
if you know a lot about technical lighting in films because you went to film school, email us. And also, I'm sorry.
So you take all the layers together, you put physically, and then you have the light shine, and that's how the I don't know.
I read a thing about specifically.
I'm not gonna get it.
I read a thing about them specifically how to make Jessica Rabbit's sequin dress sparkle like it did. They shined light on a piece of something that they did
it was a plastic
steel
bag.
wool.
Yeah, it was a plastic bag that they scratched up with steel wool.
That's like visual Foley work at that point. It's insane.
I read that sentence and I'm like, I don't understand how they or why they had to do it that way. But I guess they did.
It must have been one of those things where they tried 20 different things, because you don't just there was no one on set that went, "Oh yeah, no, if we can get that effect if we do this." It's like, no, that's not no, you got to go through 15 other steps before you accidentally stumble upon that. It's like in what was it, Snow White, when they just put real makeup on the thing?
Yeah, they did. They did do that.
On the film?
Yeah, on the cells they put real, or no, was it on the cells or on the film? I think it was on the cells.
I think it was on the
cells.
cells.
That would make more sense.
Because they were trying to emulate makeup for Snow White and the Queen's faces, and they were like, we can't get anything that looks like the makeup, and some guy just goes, let's use
it wasn't
the makeup.
A guy. It was
right.
the women. The women did the grunt, cell painting work, which was not fun. They did all the non-creative jobs in the studio. But they came up with the makeup thing. But yeah, I don't know how they made the movie, really.
See, they've been toying with the idea of making a sequel forever, which, don't for a lot of reasons. But one of the reasons that, these techniques of cell animation, especially this super high-end stuff, nobody knows how to do it anymore. There is really nobody still working in the industry, or not enough people working in the industry who could do this. Everything's digital.
Well, that was going to be the thing, because, one thing that happened to Robert Zemeckis since this film got made is he got a huge erection for mocap CGI and made, 3 films out of them, none of which were successful, and so, Roger Rabbit was going to be... I think he said what he ended up deciding on before the thing got canned was, the cartoon... The Toons would still be 2D, but all the people would still be all the people will be mocapped, and that makes no sense. He just really fucking can't stop making mocap movies. He needs an intervention.
I mean, news has been buzzing about this potential film sequel since 2013.
Yeah.
I mean, at least
that was the latest.
He was also he was also going to make a mocap Yellow Submarine movie. That didn't happen, and yeah, he just needs to shoot. He just needs to film normal people again. Also, but aside from that, I would say don't make Roger Rabbit again, just because, this film already exists as a love letter to pre-war Golden Age cartoons, and the only thing you could do after that would bring anything new to the table would be to make it slightly more modern, and then that's getting into a whole bunch of other different kinds of cartoons and stuff. And then obviously there's so many other things you wouldn't be able to get the licenses for everything, and it wouldn't be worth it. And then where do CG cartoons fall into place? And it's a whole thing.
The original,
and also the original movie was a parody of a genre that really doesn't exist anymore. Whereas at the time it was a lot more known.
Yeah,
I don't know. Kids play L.A. Noire.
Yeah, the original sequel was planned as a prequel, set in 1941, entitled Roger Rabbit, the Toon Platoon.
Alright.
So this was the setup.
Why didn't we name our podcast that?
I don't know.
Because it's not as good.
I guess. I don't know. So the original setup was, it was going to be like an origin story of Roger Rabbit. So it would take place in his early years, living on a farm in the Midwest.
Raises more questions.
With a human Richie Davenport, Roger travels west to seek his mother, in the process meeting Jessica Krupnik, who will become Jessica Rabbit, a struggling Hollywood actress. While Roger and Richie are enlisting in the army, Jessica is kidnapped and forced to make pro-Nazi Germany broadcasts.
What?
Roger and Richie must save her by going into Nazi-occupied Europe, accompanied by several other Toons in their army platoon. After their triumph, Roger and Richie are given a Hollywood Boulevard parade, and Roger is finally reunited with his mother and father.
I'm gonna barf!
Bugs Bunny.
What?!
I fucking quit the show! I'm quitting this goddamn podcast!
Well, they didn't make it! They didn't make it!
That's worse than, the Beetlejuice sequel where he goes to Hawaii.
I mean, Spielberg was like, I'm not gonna do that. I just directed Schindler's List.
I'm not gonna among other things, it's not a great career move for me to make light of World War II.
Obviously, that was only the first. There was a ton of rewrites later. But most of them sort of centered...
Toons shouldn't have parents, because then you get into reproduction. Stop it!
Yeah, I mean, this movie already confirms that Toons fuck.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they do. I mean... little baby.
I've got Google.
The baby refers to his penis directly.
That's actually one of the 2 lines that are directly taken from the book. Because here's the thing about the book.
It's different.
It's completely different. In the book, Roger Rabbit's the one who's murdered.
Yeah.
And also they're not cartoons as in, animation, but they're cartoons as in, the funnies, paper strips, comic cartoons.
I kind of want to read it.
I do too.
Unless it's bad.
I don't know.
Is it bad?
But yeah, the line is, I got a 50-year-old lust and a 30-year-old dinky.
I believe it was 3-year-old.
Yeah, 3-year-old dinky, yeah.
I'm pretty sure, like, don't worry, it'll still work when you're 30, boys and girls.
Yeah. It's because apparently in the book, Baby Herman's actual age is 36.
Ah.
Baby Herman was voiced by April Winchell.
Oh.
Who also voiced Herman's mom.
I like how in the credits it's Baby Herman and Adult Baby Herman.
Baby Herman's a pretty good nickname if anybody wants that. I'll tell Alex to make it his new rap name for the week.
Yeah, he needs a new one.
Baby.
Because young Tom Turkey has already gone stale.
Stale turkey.
But yeah, I mean, I guess the other sort of big element to this film that a lot of people already know about is the allusions to LA transportation.
That happened, is the thing.
Totally 100% happened.
Yeah, that went over my head as a child.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
LA used to have public transit. It was the first city in America built around the automobile, which is ironic if you look at it now because it's miserable to drive in. But it's not like New York or Boston that have an excuse. It's like, oh, we built a dumb city on a dumb swamp, and I guess you can drive on it if you want, if you're dumb.
I mean, New York was the same. It was also a city on a swamp.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But yeah, in the 40s, car and tire companies teamed up against the public transportation railway system and bought them out as a business, allowing them to build the freeway and force everybody to buy cars, and hence the really delightful joke of,
that entire monologue just fucking tickled me. Mostly because it opens pretty early on with traffic jams will be a thing of the past. And then he keeps going for like 2 more uninterrupted minutes after he's already like just spouted too much bullshit for me to not laugh.
And it's like,
God.
It's amazing. Car dealerships, gas stations, billboards.
Like rapidly prepared food.
Yeah, I think by the time the Brooklyn Dodgers moved to LA, there were no longer any trolleys to dodge.
I didn't know that's what that meant.
Yeah. I mean, there's no trolleys in Brooklyn anymore. I think San Francisco's the only place that still has trolleys because it's, like, cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like a bus like around where I live that like fashioned itself to look like a trolley, but it's a bus.
Let's talk some more about Christopher Lloyd
else?
in this movie.
Christopher
He's
Lloyd,
great.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, apparently, for verisimilitude, he never blinked while it was rolling.
Oh.
Man.
Lloydie, you tried too hard.
Yeah, well, see, the thing, he was, like, at least from the way I see it now, like, the most cartoony guy in the movie, even more so than Roger. Because he's just so comically over the top sinister. Whereas, like, Hoskins and everybody else, they're like from a regular movie, and they're like, oh, these fucking toons. Whereas Doom is a maniac from the jump.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he just gets more maniacal as he goes, because at first it's like, I mean, he's hamming it up, but it's a very, like, stoic ham. Like, he's just, like, doing really dramatic head movements and, like, single deliveries of, like, yeah, it's like, get the dip, and, like, just, like, really... But then by the end of it, he's just, like... The greatest part was when, like, it doesn't even establish he's around when Eddie's in Toontown and, like, he's looking for him, but then he, like... something happens, like, he's over there and he turns and it's this alleyway shot of, like, just his silhouette just, like, glumping down the alley, like, you'll never get me, Eddie! His legs, he's fucking kicking his legs over his goddamn head down this alleyway.
I know.
Also, he had a sword.
Yeah!
Oh, we gotta give some voice acting props here. This was one of the final productions in which Mel Blanc was able to voice his Looney Tunes characters. He voiced Bugs, Daffy, Porky, Tweety, and Sylvester.
Did he also voice Sam?
No, that was Joe Alasky.
Oh,
yeah.
Well then.
Maybe he couldn't do that one at that point. Maybe they weren't able to bring him in for that scene. I don't know.
And what like really blows my mind is that Mae Questel, the original voice of Betty Boop, and also Olive Oyl, reprised her role for this film.
Wow.
That's just really cool.
That's like some June Foray stuff.
Yeah, like that's amazing. You know, and there's a bunch of like amazingly talented people in here. I mean, you know, people obviously still working today. Jim Cummings, Nancy Cartwright, Frank Welker, and then other people too.
Tony Anselmo.
There's a lot of people.
But it was the guy before Bill Farmer, Tony Pope.
Tony Pope, you know, voice Goofy. I mean, a lot. Apparently, though, in the original film, Kathleen Turner wasn't credited as Jessica Rabbit in the original credits.
Weird.
Which is pretty weird. She was credited in the shorts, though.
Yeah, they made shorts from 1989 to 1993. There were 3 of them. And we watched them before we started recording. And I actually think that the slapstick in those was better than anything in the movie. And maybe it's just because it's stuff I hadn't seen before. But it was so insane. So completely out of fucking control.
Yeah.
Nonstop.
Like, there was no pacing. It was just like, slapstick! Slapstick!
Yeah, it starts at 10 and then needs to continue to elevate.
That really, that's another thing I realized specifically just about Roger Rabbit's character in general, watching the shorts and watching this film again and thinking back to, like, actual cartoons. Like, they made, like, the Uber tune.
Yeah.
They made the, like, in a lab created this rabbit to be the tune. Like, he's the best at slapstick. He's got the quips. He's whiling out all over the place. He's a constant fucking 10, always on.
Annoying voice.
Just, like, like, oh my god.
Yeah. Williams said that Roger Rabbit was a combination of Tex Avery's cashew nut head shape.
Yeah.
The swatch of red hair resembling Droopy's. Goofy's overalls, Porky Pig's bow tie, Mickey Mouse's gloves, and Bug Bunny's cheeks and ears.
He's a chimera.
He is. And as a kid, I was like, this is the most annoying fucking
that was my second thought. It's like, you know, they could have really, like, he's almost not good.
Yeah, he's almost like, they could have made him a little more likable.
Yeah, he's exhausting.
Oh, God.
I think it does, maybe not, like, the shorts definitely, it works for the film because of, like, the character purpose he serves, because, like, his whole character arc, his whole theme, his whole relationship with Eddie is just, like, this foil, he's a foil to Eddie, and his whole spiel, the entire movie is, like, laughter is so important, it's all I care about, it's all I want to do, it's the whole reason Toons exist, and it's what I'm put on this earth for. Like, I am the personality, the character foil that is going to get you to lighten up.
I am your manic pixie dream girl.
Yeah, basically.
Manic pixie dream tune.
And then they kiss at the end.
Yeah.
They do kiss.
Whereas, the shorts, like, this character could not have supported more shorts, I think, because he's kind of too much.
He's just constantly screaming.
There's only so many ways you can beat the ever-loving shit out of him.
I mean, I don't know. The Tom and Jerry made it work for a while.
Yeah.
Or like, the Tiny Toons equivalent. The puppy. Or no, it was Animaniacs. It was the dog and the little baby. It was essentially this...
Buttons.
It was
Mindy
essentially...
and Buttons, yeah.
It was the same premise, but because it was a dog that didn't talk, I think it worked better.
Also, the baby was funnier.
Yeah.
Okay, I love you, bye-bye.
Yeah, I love you, bye-bye. Let's do single episodes on specific Animaniacs bits.
The one thing I did like about Baby Herman...
Our Chicken Boo episode is 2 hours long because I, like, keep talking about the Great Gatsby. Okay, that sounds apropos of nothing, but actually let me explain this.
Okay.
In the group chat that Tooch and I used to be in, I said, I don't know, this may have been apropos of nothing. I don't trust anybody whose favorite Animaniacs character isn't Slappy Squirrel. And Tooch said, mine is Chicken Boo. To which I said, Chicken Boo's not a character. He is an audience surrogate to whom they project their own anxieties, like Jay Gatsby.
Oh man, I forgot that happened.
Yeah. And I was like, as I was typing, he's like, don't fucking get this reference wrong.
He's not a man, he's a chicken boo.
I love Chicken Boo.
Chicken Boo's great because they're so quick to turn on him. There's a lot of unintentional symbolism and meta-narrative to be
you know what?
from Chicken Boo.
Make a Roger Rabbit sequel, but make sure Chicken Boo's there. But everyone thinks he's a normal person and not a Toon.
And he doesn't even need a mask and stuff. Like, the scene where Doom reveals who he is should be kind of serious, but, like, I always laugh because of the voice. He's like, and when I killed your brother, I was talking just like this! Like, I don't know, there's something about it that always makes me crack up, even though it's supposed to be a dramatic scene.
I think maybe if you're a baby child who doesn't know who Christopher Lloyd is. Because, like, Christopher Lloyd's everybody's grandpa. He's great.
Yeah.
Or it's like, yeah, now I see Christopher Lloyd and I clap like a fancy child. I'm like, oh boy, here he comes.
Yeah.
Here comes a special Lloyd.
He's gonna act the biggest of anybody.
Like, when I first saw his eyes, and as a kid, I was like, oh, it's scary! But now I'm like, I can see them flicker a little bit.
Yeah, you see, like...
At one point, he literally stares daggers, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like, alright. Like, he literally becomes what he was always meant to be, a cartoon character. Like, it was the perfect role for him.
Yeah, a cartoon character who's trying to dupe everybody into thinking he's a regular man.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
it's perfect casting, but, like, it could have been more on the nose. Like, it could have been Tim Curry.
Oh, man. Tim Curry versus Harrison Ford. In Universe B's Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh, do you guys know the names of all the weasels?
No, they're just the weasels to me.
They were supposed to be like the 7 dwarves, but they cut 2 of them out. So they were Stupid, Smartass, Greasy, Wheezy, and Psycho made it into the film. And then Slimy and Sleazy were cut out. But Smartass was the leader. Psycho was the dude in the straitjacket. Stupid was the dude hitting himself in the head with a baseball bat.
He was like the country bear looking guy.
Yeah, I don't remember which one was Greasy and Wheezy, though.
Wheezy was the one who was smoking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then Greasy was, I just think, the other one.
The other one. Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of other stuff that they were going to do, obviously, but they're like, we can't. Like, originally, Doom was supposed to have an animated vulture on his shoulder all the time. And they were like, we can't, though.
That'd have been cool, though.
That reminds me of something cool. We just went to our sister Lucy's graduation, and one of the people who graduated from the veterinary program had a lizard on her shoulder the whole time.
Yeah, it was a bearded dragon. It was so cute. And the other thing they cut out that would have been for Doom was he was supposed to have a suitcase of 12 small animated kangaroos that act as the jury.
A kangaroo court, oh my god.
And by having their joeys pop out of the pouches, each with letters which would spell "You are guilty." Because he was technically a judge, but they didn't really play that up too much.
Right.
Like, he just kind of showed up, and it was like, judge, jury, executioner. Which would have made sense if he had the little jury with him to make the gag work a little bit better, but they were just like...
It worked, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Because the judge thing was just a means to an end for him anyway.
Oh, another thing? That Doom was supposed to be, apparently?
Oh boy.
He was apparently also originally the hunter that killed Bambi's mom?
What the fuck?!
But Disney was like, no! And then everybody was like, aw, that would have been funny.
I don't know, what did they put? Lloyd wouldn't have been able to live that down. It's like, hey, people go to the street, hey, asshole, this is for Bambi's mom. And they would, like, kick him in the butthole.
Please stop kicking me in the butthole.
I didn't actually kill Bambi's mom. My character did.
Oh. Like, there's so many scenes in Back to the Future where I'm like, is Doc Brown choking on his tongue?
Yep, constantly. That's why he built a time machine, so he could go back in time and stop himself from doing that.
Pull his tongue out. He's like, hey, stupid.
And I don't know. I mean, there's other stuff. There was the controversy about Jessica Rabbit's underwear.
How, like, apparently on the Laserdisc, you could see your pussy, but you couldn't. I think Snopes disproved that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no shit.
I mean, Jessica Rabbit's a really neat character.
It's a very interesting character, yeah.
Because, like, I knew about Jessica Rabbit before I knew about anything else of this film, because I've been in my friend's dad's basement. And I've just sort of seen that iconography, so I always assumed she was a sex thing. So when I heard that she was in a movie about cartoons as a kid, I was like, what?
Oh, you thought she was just like a pin-up character?
I thought she was a sex character, lady. I didn't know she was in a movie where she did not do sex.
I mean, that was kind of also Betty Boop's deal in terms of her marketing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the scene with Betty Boop, like, looking on, it was very well done, like, because they were the same character. But yeah, like, you know, she's framed to be the bad guy from the whole time, you know, being, like, this incredibly, like, way too hot to be alive lady. But she really just is a normal person. Like, she's just
really sexy and kind of can't help it.
Yeah, like, she has her job, she has her life and her husband and stuff she cares about, but, like, she's interesting in that way. Like, you know, she's become this, like, incredible sex symbol, but also sort of, like, ignoring, like, her devotion to, like, Roger and, like, all the cool stuff she gets to do in the movie, too, other than look really sexy. And even, like, the sexy jokes are, like, so over the top that it's hilarious. It's almost like poking fun.
It's so corny.
Yeah, it absolutely is poking fun, because if you, like, I mean, just from her design, and, like, obviously people do intentionally, people do find her sexy on purpose, but it's like, you know, she was designed to be kind of like Roger Rabbit was designed to be the prototypical comedy toon. She's designed to be the prototypical sexy pinup cartoon lady. Like, her waist is non-existent, her tits are huge, although because of the time period it was made, she honestly doesn't have that much of an ass.
Yeah, I mean, she's like, yeah, that's true. She was very
that wasn't a
top-heavy.
thing.
It was an age of breast men.
Yeah.
Whereas now, I think, I mean, I'm not a scholar in this regard, but I think we're definitely in an age of ass men right now.
I would say so.
I would agree from firsthand knowledge. I
just think it's more of a cultural thing. It's like what's culturally hot right now is the ass.
Yeah. But at the time, you know, it was fun having people bump into her boobs all the time, because they're just like...
bazongas.
Yeah, there's like anime jiggle on her. It's like shit that... Well, I don't know, that big, who knows?
I don't know. I love that one gag in the short, where she's like tied up to the roller coaster. She's like, help me! Help me! What? Help me!
Yeah, that she has one delivery that I'll always fucking love when she just looks at the dip and just goes, oh my god, it's dip!
Like, she just loses her shit. Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh, shit.
She's a interesting, delightful person. And I like it because, like, Roger's never like, oh, sexy time. He's always like, she's my favorite person.
Yeah,
she's so soft and nice.
He's precious. He's a good boy.
In fact, their relationship is my go-to assumption for whenever I'm like out and about and I see a couple where it's a beautiful woman and a schlub-ass moron man. like I don't go for like the gold digger thing. I'm like, he must be just hilarious. Yeah. He has to be an underground comic genius.
God.
Because like, I once saw like a woman who looked like a supermodel and a dude who looked like a fatter, shorter, dumpier Rick Moranis.
Oh.
Balder. And it was like, everyone was like, man, he must be loaded. I mean, it's got a crazy dick. And I'm like, he's gotta be like, it's Roger Rabbit. He's hilarious.
that, and also Roger, like, treated her like a person and, like, respected her as an individual and didn't. And also, like,
the Toons in their own fucking culture, again getting too deep into this film, seem to like prefer comedy because, I mean, for obvious reasons, but then also there was that line when Jessica was first introduced when Eddie's talking to Betty Boop like she's married to Roger Rabbit and she goes, yeah, what a lucky girl.
Yeah,
that is a great line. There's so much facetious shit we can look into this movie. Are Toons second-class citizens?
Yes. Absolutely they are.
Yeah, they're segregated.
They're literally segregated.
Yeah, they're literally treated like they're an act. They're clowns. They go up.
They do their dance.
They do their little dance, and everybody claps. And
then their exploitative dance.
There's no Toons in higher up production.
They're all segregated into one neighborhood.
They're all actors. They're like the lowest people on the fucking totem pole, aside from, like, I don't know, the
Best Boys.
Best Boys.
Which is a misleading name. It's like, oh, I thought it was going to be way more important. I don't even know what my job is. Him and the key gripper, like, I'm just holding this and I'm waiting for somebody to pay me.
So one thing that I found, I don't know if maybe it's just because I was really tired, but I didn't laugh very much watching this film this time around. I guess it's because I already knew a lot of what was going to happen.
Yeah, that was my feelings too. Where I was like a third of the way through the film, and I was like, I literally remember every scene. Like it's a memorable film, but almost to a fault.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like I know every single goof that's in this film.
Yeah, and I also feel like it's funny, but it's not as funny as people remember.
Yeah, it's very funny in that traditional Golden Age cartoon way of being funny, where it's kind of corny and cheesy at the same time. Where, like, I don't know, perhaps our millennial advanced comedy disposition is just not nonplussed by just pure slapstick all the time.
Yeah, like, when I laugh at slapstick, it's when it's so, like, crazy go-nuts slapstick.
Yeah, like, most of the slapstick in, say, the shorts didn't make me laugh, but every once in a while there would be something where they just push it enough that it was funny. And a lot of times it had to do with, like, facial expressions. More than just, like, bazunga, the eyes are getting, like the mouth dropping to the ground, the eyes filling up the entire body of the character.
The Tex Avery.
That stuff doesn't make people laugh anymore.
The best jokes in the movie only work for the movie itself because the best jokes are when the cartoon nature of the Toons clash with the real world. Like, all of Roger's best jokes was when he, almost involuntarily, because it's just embedded in him, does bits that everyone around him acknowledges, like, you didn't have to fucking do that stupid thing, and he's like, I have to, I'm a cartoon.
yeah, he commits to the bit in an almost, like, biological level.
Yeah,
it's a biological imperative. Like,
when someone fucking goes shaving a haircut, he's gotta go 2 bits.
Yeah, or like the bit with the handcuff where he's like, he was straight up Bugs Bunny, like, meh, him, but it's like, I could only do that if it was funny.
I could only escape at a moment where it was funny.
That notion is funny, that the reason cartoons are like that is just because, like,
it's how they have superpowers.
Cartoon pacing is embedded in them, and that in itself is a hysterical concept.
Though the idea that there are cartoons who can laugh themselves to death seems kind of cruel.
Also, considering that they had earlier said cartoons can't die.
I think they literally just become ghosts and now they're cartoon ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what happened to Richie Rich.
Because Psycho, the weasel, was still able to interact with the real world even after being a ghost weasel.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is really one of those movies that you just can't think about. In an era where everyone loves to think way too hard about fictional worlds, you can't with this film. See, it's not.
For me personally, I'm not as interested in, like, well, I mean, I guess I do it every week on the show. I'm not as interested as, like, really diving into, like, you know, what is it, you know, the kind of jokes I've been making. Like, sometimes people do that for real, and I just don't care about that shit. But, like, I love doing it facetiously. I love taking something where it's like, who would care? No, clearly they definitely didn't think about this. Clearly it destroys the entire premise and fabric and suspension of disbelief to think about this. But so for that reason, let's do it.
Absolutely. And also, I think that's also a testament to the time period and the kind of cartoons that they were emulating and making with this one, because it's like, narrative structure is a lot more important to modern cartoons than it was with theatrical cartoons back then. You literally just needed a marketable character, one premise, and you make those cartoons until you run out of ideas for that one premise.
Yeah, like I read an article about it, and it was sort of coming off of the Hollywood system, where classic Hollywood wasn't about the director or the cinematography. It was about the actor. It was about the character and the performance. And that was how Golden Age animation also was. It was about the character acting.
Because you knew it was all a goof.
Yeah,
no one went, oh man, how's Bugs gonna get out of this one? Like, you don't fucking care, but you want to go see Bugs smack a man around.
It wasn't about the story, it wasn't about the art, it was about the performance, purely the performance of the characters. Which is why, a lot of these stuffier animation people say that's why it's the best animation there ever was, because it was just about the way that they were moving. But,
they're bullshit sore animals. Both methods of making film and animation are both fine. And I think we should definitely see more of the classic stuff without having to get rid of the new stuff.
Yeah, I like cinematography and framing and a vision.
And interesting stories.
Just as much as I like a really fun and
dynamic jump around character.
I would like to see another cartoon that's just like, hey, here's a character and a really basic premise, and we're gonna do it until we're all sick, and we're gonna do it while it's good until you're all sick of it. I think the last one was probably like Courage.
Yeah, where the character is just infectious.
Yeah, but Courage, as good as Courage is, and as much of a narrative as it did kind of have sometimes when older characters would come back, but it's it was really just this dog is scared of everything, and every week we're gonna throw monstros at him, and you're just gonna watch him be fucking terrified. And that was really the whole show. And that was good. That's good. That's great. But also, Gravity Falls is also good.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, will there ever be another Bugs Bunny? I don't know. Probably not.
I mean, there's Wabbit, and I don't know how good that is.
I mean, a character that.
Yeah, I don't think as a culture we have room.
No, because they just keep making... Bugs Bunny's not going to go away.
The closest thing, and this is not even that close, was SpongeBob?
Maybe. In terms of marketability, yes, but I think SpongeBob the show more than just SpongeBob. SpongeBob's more of a Mickey Mouse. He's just a nice man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he does share that, he has faults. On the surface, he's an unlikable person, but the way that he goes about his life makes him very likable.
He's optimistic.
Yeah. Whereas, Bugs Bunny is, an asshole, but you love it, because he's so good at it.
He's good at it, and also they exclusively pit him against worse assholes.
Exactly.
Very rarely is he at fault.
Yeah.
I think the only times where you want to be like, Bugs, you need to just let this go, is when he's against Cecil Turtle. That's it. That's the only time where Bugs is in the wrong and he needs to just chill. But those are the best ones. That's the true character. That's getting right to the core of Bugs Bunny's soul, is when he goes up against Cecil Turtle.
Yeah, that's almost I don't know if they intended it, but that's almost a postmodernist take on the character. It's this guy's actually an asshole.
God, we gotta do a Bugs Bunny episode.
He's mean to a turtle.
But the turtle has become Bugs Bunny, and Bugs Bunny has become all his other enemies, because he just can't fucking win. We're
looking at an image right now of Bugs throttling Cecil's neck and just screaming his head off at him in a moment of unbridled rage. I have never seen Bugs with this face before.
In one of the episodes,
Bugs hates this fucking turtle.
The episode, and the episode where he challenges to the race, he beats him by dressing up in basically turtle armor and with a jetpack and stuff, but then everybody turns on him because, like, he got a bunch of rabbits to, like, jump Cecil, but they thought he was the turtle. And then he just rips his armor off, like, weeping open tears. It's like, I'm the rabbit! I'm the rabbit! And then Cecil won by dressing up as a bunny.
I think they've done multiple race ones.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I remember one where he Bugs won the race but was arrested for speeding.
And then Cecil also showed up in the Looney Tunes show as a really shitty, I think, like,
Tech support
customer service guy. We gotta watch that one, man. Oh, God.
Yeah. Anyway, we've kind of gotten off topic, but...
I think we're done with the main topic. It's a great movie. Watch while it's gone. The shorts are on YouTube.
There's a 25th anniversary Blu-ray.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Catch it.